Cassian Andor, who you know as Clem.
That's Skeen, Nemik, Taramin,
Val.
Cinta, and Lieutenant Gorn.
Squads 1, 2, and 4.
Aldahni's, when you need plenty of arms and legs to build all you've got planned.
Hello, and welcome to another Aldahni update. Update number 7, I believe. Today we are going to be looking at the figures that I've made for this MOC. We're in the section now where I need actual custom figures, or not. They're all made from official Lego parts, but they're all my own creations because a lot of these characters we don't have officially from Lego, and so kind of wanted to go through each one and sort of talk about what parts I'm using and what sort of compromises I have to make. So we'll go ahead and we'll move all these leftover arms and legs out of the way. You'll see later where those all sort of came from. But so we'll go ahead and we'll move those out of the way. And then I suppose we'll just start. We'll start with the Rebellion side and make our way into the Imperial side. So let's go ahead and let's start with our titular character, Cassian Andor, or Clem in this case. And he's pretty standard. I did find in the weeks past, I found that the raccoon suit person from one of the minifigure series, they had unpainted or unprinted dual molded legs that are light bluish gray and black, and so I ordered quite a few of those to change out the feet on quite a few of these sort of Imperial figures. Just because I think it adds an extra level of detail that just really looks nice. But so yeah, so he's basically just got the sort of gray jumpsuit. I gave him sort of this messed up hair, because he's got shorter hair in the Aldahni arc, but still kind of messy, and so I think this works out well. He is using the Din Djarin face, but it's a medium tan head that has stubble on it, and it honestly fits him, I think, a lot better than it does Din Djarin. But yeah, his gun, it's the same one from the set. It's an old Lego piece. I believe it came from Alien Conquest, but it's a good piece and it works pretty well for his gun. But so we'll go ahead and we'll move on to someone else from the team. So here we have Skeen, and he's using a First Order torso. It actually works out pretty well for this because of the fact that it doesn't have a little badge. I forget what they're called in universe, but the rank insignia, it doesn't have one of those, and so it makes it quite useful for a sort of dark gray jumpsuit. Because unfortunately, I believe the only place that we've actually gotten a proper Imperial dark gray jumpsuit is in the Mos Eisley Cantina, And while that is a set that I have, I don't really intend on taking apart the Mos Espa Spy for that torso. And I think this will do quite well. He's got this big gun here because once they get into the vault, they do change his gun out for quite a long one. So I wanted to kind of replicate that. From the back, you won't really be able to see him, but unfortunately, you can see the mouth sticking out. But when he's placed in the MOC, you shouldn't be able to see that. So I'm not too concerned about it. But so yeah, without further ado, because that's pretty much all I've got to say about him, let's move on to the next character. So next we have Nemec. I actually did get the Harry Potter Advent Calendar as a place to find some good parts for some of these figures, and Draco's other side of his face didn't really work too well for Nemec, but the sort of scared expression I thought worked pretty well for him. And then he's got dark tan hair there. I believe that's the Hawkeye hair from the new Marvel CMF. And then again, just another light gray Imperial jumpsuit. Nothing too special there. So without further ado, on to the next. So here we have Terriman. And again, another just sort of Imperial light gray jumpsuit. His head, I believe that's one of the heads from the foosball table. I got that set just for all the figures and all their different heads and hair pieces. But yeah, he's pretty standard. It works well. There aren't too many, because I believe, unless I'm mistaken, I don't think that's been used as Lando's head. But the only other sort of reddish brown heads with mustaches are Lando and I think Moff Gideon, and so I didn't really want him to look like either one of those, so this head I thought worked out pretty well. But let's go ahead and keep moving forward. So here we have Vel. She's got, it's actually Hermione's torso from the Harry Potter Advent Calendar, though I've flipped the actual torso piece around. And then I used mid legs on her just because they look a lot better. I was going to use regular legs, but then she just sort of looked too tall compared to the other characters. And the actual torso has a print of a scarf that extends on the back side, and so I know it's not accurate, but I thought it wouldn't look too bad to just actually put on a scarf. And then if we go ahead and flip her around, then you can see sort of the continuation of that scarf that would have been on the front side of the torso, but is now on the back side. And for the most part, that won't be seen. But overall, I think she turned out pretty well. Then here we have Vel, or not Vel, sorry, we just did Vel. Cinta. And I think she turned out pretty well. Again, using one of those first order torsos, I think that works pretty well. she also has, I've got quite a few of those dark bluish gray and black dual molded legs. However, on the back, I gave her this dark gray backpack, just sort of to cover up the bottom half of the other side of the face. Now, I don't know, I may end up just sort of erasing that other side of the head, because I believe that's the same head that Mary Jane or MJ from the No Way Home sets. I believe she uses that head as well. I got it from the foosball table, so I'm not sure. I might remove the head print, um, just so that I can remove the backpack and make it more show accurate. Um, but we'll see in time what I decide to do. Then moving on to the last member of the rebel group, we have Lieutenant Gorn. Um, Now the sort of interesting thing about Lieutenant Gorn is that his torso is Tala's torso from the Kenobi show. Uh, Unfortunately, his rank, Lego have not made a torso with that proper Imperial rank that he has in the show. However, Tala's is very close. I believe it's either missing a blue or a red square, but it's pretty dang close. And so, other than that, he's probably about what you'd expect. But I'm happy with how he turned out. So now moving to the Imperial side of things, um, we have Gorn's boss, the Imperial Commandant. Um, Now his rank insignia is accurate to the show, because Lego had produced that, and I was really happy to be able to use that. Um, his head, however, is not accurate. Um, there's no real easy way to get around it. In the show, his goatee is gray, um, with sort of a white patch on the bottom, and Lego has not made a head print like that, nor have they made many goatee prints on heads that are not like nougat. Um, and so I think the only one was like Baze from Rogue One, and that didn't that didn't look too good. His hairpiece I may change out if they've made that piece in light bluish gray. I'm not sure, but if they have, I'll probably end up changing that out. Um, and then his sash, I was pretty happy about. I just used a black sword holster, um, and I think that turned out pretty well. And overall, I'm happy with him. He's not as good as he could be, um, but for having to work within the limitations of Lego's parts that they've already produced, I think he turned out pretty well. So in the show, there are many, I believe they're Imperial Army Corps troopers. Um, and so I've tried to recreate that here with the limited parts available to me. Um, I would have loved to have given them all this helmet, because I like that this version of the helmet, the goggle print actually covers the full area that the goggles are molded for. Um, However, that is apparently a quite expensive piece, and so I will not be giving that to the rest of them. This one also has the ATDP pilot torso, which most of them will not have that. Most of them will have the officer or Imperial officer torso, or I forget what the character's name is, but it was from like a really old Imperial Hoth battle pack. Um, but you'll see it here in a second. Um, but the arms are really of note here. Lego has not made a dual molded black and dark bluish gray arm. However, they had made black and light bluish gray, so I chose to use that. In the show, the sort of chest plate and armor, to me, they're really black. Um, they're either black or they're a very, very dark gray, um, which Lego has yet to create. And so most of the Imperial Army Corps troopers are going to look like this figure here. Again, that torso, for the most part, is accurate, minus the color and minus the rank insignia. And so I'm quite happy with how these guys turned out. I really think that the dual molded arms just give them that sort of extra pop and that just extra level of detail that I do like to strive for. And so now most of them have this ATST pilot helmet. However, there are few, such as this one here, that they have that sort of dark bluish gray Imperial cap on them. And so now we'll move into the Donnie, or basically the more neutral group in all of this. So first we have the chieftain. His staff is really hapdash. I'm definitely going to redo that, but I kind of like the idea of using the 1x1s with the bar hole and putting them on a bar. But I do quite like, I believe that's Han Solo's torso from the Convex train. And it worked really well for the chieftain's torso, as well as the acorn hat. That worked out pretty well. And then I believe that's Alfred's face from the Batman sets. And no, this is not supposed to be Alfred. It's the chieftain, and I think he turned out really well for sort of the limited part selection. I think I was able to pretty faithfully recreate him, which was really neat. And then as for the rest of the Donnie, particularly the women, I based largely on this figure here, which I believe this is Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn. I could be mispronouncing that. I have not played the game, nor do I own the set, but this character has a lot of sort of like beads and different like fabrics on the torso and legs, as well as some pretty cool arm printing there. And even the back of the torso, which you can't really see on this figure, but it has more printing that continues, and so she was quite a good template for using parts for the rest of the females, and so I'll give you a couple examples, just because I don't mean to belabor every figure that I've made for this, but so like for example, this is another figure that I made. Basically, I was able to on Bricklink buy a whole bunch of the Aloy torso and legs, and so basically I've been trying to use different hair pieces and different arms and all sorts of accessories to really make them pop and look out as sort of individuals. Then to give you another example here, we've got sort of this one, but with blue. And again, it's the thing where I really like the Aloy torso because I think it works for either red or blue. I think it's a really good torso for making sort of the Donnie women. And you can see on this one I've also used that, I believe it's a Young Jedi Adventures hair. Would be nice to get that in more of a normal color rather than purple. But I think it's a really good looking hairpiece, and works well in the Star Wars setting, of course. But as for the males, for the Donnie, that's where I definitely need to improve. But I'll give you one example. So here we have what will be a Donnie male. You can see he's actually using the Aloy arms. And then he's got, I believe those are Rose Tico's pants. And then this torso that I believe is the giant from Jack and the Beanstalk's torso. And then a Ninjago hair piece. And so I think he looks well. But a lot of the male Donnie, I've sort of been trying to find different torsos that have like fur on them, or like the dwarf torsos from the Hobbit series. Those are probably going to be used. But yeah, it'll be interesting to sort of see how they come out. And then just for fun, no promises on a future mock, though I do think it would be fun. I made several figures from the Narkina 5 arc. And so we've got Cassian or Keith here. And I've used mostly, I know Hyperlight bricks. He used the Beekeeper torso with the white arm or with the orange arm. And it looks really good. And so, I mean, there's really no need to change that design, because it is a really good design as far as working with limited pieces. So, and then I also made Kino here. Same design pretty much. However, I do think I'm going to, because I know there are dual molded white and light nougat legs. And so I think I'd like to find one of those and remove the printing from it, and then use that for his legs. It is unfortunate that we don't have white and medium tan legs, because I would definitely be using those for Castian if we did have those. And then last but certainly not least of the bonus figures, we've got the Imperial Prison Guard from Narkina 5. Again, very much inspired by Hypolite's series, where he used the skeleton arm on the one side, and it works really well. If only we had it printed orange on a white arm, then we could use that for the other figures. But I also found in the Build a Minifigs at my Lego store some dual molded orange and black pants. I thought those worked pretty well to represent the sort of rubber boots that they wear in Narkina 5. But yeah, these were just sort of fun, extra Andor inspired figures to make. But yeah, so I hope that you guys enjoyed this Aldahni update, and I hope that you look forward to seeing where the figures are placed in the future. But for now, bye bye.